Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills in order to help you level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome aboard. Every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm dropping practical insights on topics such as public speaking, social skills, creative writing, emotional management, and other soft skills which will teach you how to carry yourself like a leader. Join the tribe by hitting the subscribe button right on below. Hit that bell notification and never miss another video again. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and be sure to drop that like right on your way in. In this episode, we're entering the world of public speaking to talk about a way to overcome speech analysis paralysis. You have a presentation coming up. Maybe it's for a best man speech. Maybe it's a work presentation. Maybe you've been working on your startup business for so long, you finally got your big break and you're going to be speaking in a conference where a lot of your potential clients may be. Bottom line is that you have some form of a presentation coming up. And at this point, you're starting to think, what am I going to talk about? And this is a good problem and a bad problem at the same time. Because I'm sure what's going to happen with a lot of people is that their mind is going to have a lot of options. In terms of creativity, it's better to have a lot of options which you can always trim away from rather than not have any options. But here's the problem. You having so many different options gives you the temporary illusion that you don't have any ideas worth saying. It's because you're being pulled from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next. And it comes to a point where you become burnt out, mental addiction. There's a trick in order to overcome this. And here's the trick. You want to present something that feels like common sense to you and can benefit at least one person in the audience. The rest of this video is going to break this line down so you start to understand how to tame your mind and how to articulate your ideas with clarity and confidence. Let's get started off with the first part. You want to articulate something that feels like common sense to you. The reason that you want to do this is because when you start having all these different thoughts, you're sort of like in a solar system without the sun. Without the sun, all these different planets are going to be going all over the place. By speaking about something that is common sense to you, you now place yourself as the sun in the solar system. And at this point, all these different thoughts are going to start to have more congruence. A couple of years back, I was in high school, and around that time, once the class bell would ring, the final one, I would go into the bus and go home. And this was my routine schedule for a pretty long time. But one day, there was this girl that came up to me and she's like, "Yo, Armani, I need you to stay after class for the next couple of weeks every Thursday." I asked her why. And she's like, "Look, I'm starting this thing called the political debate team and I need people to attend." I'm looking at her and I'm like, I'm not into politics. I'm not into debating. Why should I come? And she's like, "Well, you should come because there are other people who are interested in these topics. But since I'm just starting this off, I need people already attending, so those people who are interested actually want to step foot in my meeting." And that's when I start thinking, okay, I mean, is there going to be food or something? She's like, "What kind of food?" I'm like, "I don't know, pizzas or donuts, something like that." And she's like, "Yes, of course. There's going to be pizzas, donuts, all of that. I'll see you Thursdays." So for the next couple of weeks, I ended up going to this political debate club. And to my surprise, The few people that were debating, one of them I knew very well. His name was Daryl, and he was the older brother of my good friend Omar. And Daryl knew how to debate. I was surprised because I used to know him as an aspiring rapper. I didn't know that he knew so much about politics. I didn't know that he could debate so well. So after one of the meetings, I went up to him. I'm like, hey, when the hell did you learn how to debate? You're good. You're actually making all these other people look foolish. That's when he started smiling. He's like, you want to know my trick? I was like, what's up? He's like, I am reading as much as I can. The more that I read about my positions as well as my opponent's positions, the easier it feels to debate. It almost feels like common sense. Personally for me, since I didn't know much about debating, I thought the way that you get ready is you have a lot of mock debates where you gather different people who are challenging you. And he said that was a part of his strategy. But what was the thing that took up most of his time was him reading as much as he could, learning as much as he could about both sides of the spectrum. So he engulfed himself in the material, and now it felt like common sense. A couple of years later, when I was working in 7-Eleven, there was this coworker I had who was an aspiring actor, and during our breaks, he would often show me little clips of his short films, and I noticed he was an amazing actor. I'm like, man, how do you get in the zone? How do you just turn it on and off like that? And he says that he finds as many people as he can, and he starts to absorb their material. Whosever personality that he's trying to display in that character role, he finds similar people in that regards, engulfs himself in it, and then when the camera lights are on, it just feels like common sense. So when we say that we want to do something that feels like common sense for us, this is where we depart from the debater and the actor. We're not looking to other people at this point. We were the ones who were asked to speak, so we want to introspect rather than looking out first. Okay? And this all ties back in with communication skills. Introspection and communication go hand in hand. The more that you know yourself, the better and easier that your speech should be. So that's the first part of the line. Talk about something that feels like common sense for you, so you center yourself and all the thoughts start flowing around you. Now, the second part of the line is that you are trying to benefit at least one person from the audience. One of the mistakes you can make is trying to appeal to the entire audience. You could have the perfect speech, but you're not going to appeal to everyone. That's just the nature of the game. And sometimes it's not even your fault. Sometimes the other person just got in a car accident before coming to your presentation. And if you're measuring success based off of how well I can appeal to everyone, you're just going to look like a big dummy. Therefore, just try to impress one person. And this gets you hyper-focused. And this is a secondary focus to you speaking about something that is common sense for you. Once you're crafting the talk in a way where it's common sense for you, and you have the intention of benefiting one person, you're going to find your groove as you're creating the speech. It's going to feel as though the speech is creating itself. And you're going to attach positive feelings to the speech. To help you with this, smile as you're creating the speech. Associate good emotions with the speech. And what you're starting to do is you're signaling to your nervous system that you are in a calm space right now. Whenever you're in a calm space, that's when your creativity starts to fire up even more. So with the framework of you creating something that is common sense to you and with the intention of benefiting at least one person, mixing that in with a smile, your speech pretty much creates itself. Find different topics to prepare with. Find a object in your house that you feel as though doesn't relate to you. A lamp. Then frame it in a way where it feels like common sense to you. I don't know how you're going to do it, but find a way. And simply by making it seem as though that you're speaking about common sense when it comes to the lamp and how you can benefit at least one person, that's when you'll notice yourself finding out that you can virtually create speeches about anything as long as it can relate to you some way, somehow. You don't think I'm just going to leave you hanging, right? Here's an example with the lamp. Have you ever lived in Florida? In Florida, there's so many hurricanes that happen. And at this point in my life, I've been through a few hurricanes. And during hurricanes, you start to appreciate the small things, whether it's the AC, whether it's turning on the stove, and one of the most important things, the light. I came to understand how important lights were during the hurricane because I found out that when you take away the light, your time gets altered drastically. But here's also what I learned. I learned that fire, light, is not just for our utility. It was one of the most important reasons why the creativity era was ushered in the first place. When our ancient ancestors found about fire, not only were they able to cook meat, what they were also able to do was grab control of time. Even when the sun went down, they were able to go to their caves. They were about to get in a circle, gossip about all the other cavemen, melt the right items required in order to create cave paintings, pass on information. I mean, this is understandings that I was able to build when I lost light. So overall, at this point in my life, as I'm not going through a hurricane right now, whenever I turn on the light switch and turn it off, I do not just see light. I see a symbol for creativity. I see a symbol for information processing. And I see a symbol for camaraderie. This is just a basic speech that somehow connects with me in terms of my life. And I'm sure from the people that are watching this talk, at least one person was able to learn something new. And normally, whenever you're in your audience and one person learns something new, they have a different energy to them, and that energy is contagious and it spills over to another person. Comedians are often not trying to get every single person in the audience to laugh. They're just trying to get one person to laugh hysterically, and that hysterical laugh is going to start to spill off to other people. So we covered a lot in today's video, so let me just give you a quick little recap. Whenever you're being called to give a presentation, you're probably going to have a lot of ideas, and due to having a lot of ideas, you're going to have analysis paralysis. You're going to feel stuck. Therefore, your goal is to speak about the topic in a way where it's common sense for you. You could do that through introspection and finding a way to place yourself as a sun in the solar system. As you're creating your speech, your goal is to try to benefit only one person, not the entire audience. During your crafting process, smile just a little bit more, because when you smile, you disarm the threatening parts of the nervous system and you feel good. When you physiologically feel good, that's when you creatively perform like Michael Jordan of the public speaking sphere. So use these tips, dominate your best man speech, your work presentation, your conference presentation, whatever that is. If you want more practical insights like this into public speaking that you are not going to get on Google or other YouTube channels, be sure to check out Speaking Wizard, the magical world of public speaking. In this book, you're going to learn the basic architecture of how to create a profound talk, how to turn your speech anxiety into speech excitement, how to deliver your ideas in a clarified way so a lot of people can understand and apply your ideas. And did I mention that there's a bonus chapter on Toastmasters that you can understand more, just in case you were thinking about joining? Grab Speaking Wizard in the description box or the pinned comment right on below. And if you're watching from TV, go on ArmaniTalks.com and grab your copy today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.